Wait.
I just saw the comment. Oh no.
Everything has been silent for the past
Restart.
3 minutes because I didn't fix my settings.
Restart.
Someone came in there like so clutch there for a second. I'm you know what? I'm honestly more disappointed that no one said anything sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Does that mean you mute us all the time? Like, what is this?
No.
Yeah.
You know what?
They can't even see me.
I will be honest. I will tell you exactly what it was. I had my normal mic that I usually use, and I unplugged it to record my podcast, and I didn't plug it back in, so I switched to my headset, and I didn't fix the Discord settings, and so nothing was coming out sound-wise. So my apologies. Let's do like a Ted Lasso like reverse like. All right,
Topic
back to the
one.
beginning.
Who's the new host?
Taku will fix it in post.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post. Anyways, no one heard my cool new fucking opening. Anyways,
No.
whatever. Corden already said his words. Lotus said his words. Whatever. They're fine. You've seen them before. They're not special anymore. Steffi,
Aw.
moving on to you. Welcome
I'm
back.
special. Hi. Hello, everybody. Nice to be back. I hope everybody's doing well on this Monday night. I almost said Friday. Yikes.
You wish. Yeah, you wish. Yeah, must be a case of the Mondays, right? And we have a new face. Coming in like a champ in the oh wait, hold on. I'll let him do his intro.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Theatrics.
Theatrics, we
He's
love
muted, though, so that's
Hopefully he unmutes here.
he did.
How's it going, guys? What's going on? The champ is here, ready
Yeah, I'm
to
right
take
here.
over the throne.
Oh,
Watch out.
shit.
Well played, young blood.
That honestly, 10 out of 10 S tier entrance right there. I love it. I love it. Corden is looking to fight though. Did you hear those? Those are fighting words to him.
Champ's right here, man.
All
Look at
right.
the crown.
We got a little rivalry going here. All right. I like to see it. I like to see it. Tachi, welcome to the show. How are you feeling tonight?
Feeling pretty good, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Of course. We always like new faces on the show and the cast and crew. I'm not with it tonight, guys. Yeah,
You all
I'm
right?
not with it.
All right, just take a deep breath. Take a swig.
Well, I tell you what. I'm not with it because normally I go from my grad class straight into Saloon, and I do all this prep during my grad class. And I didn't have class tonight. So I was going without that normal routine, and I was doing a lot of stuff last minute. So I am less prepared than normal. I'm not used to this. So I am preparing on the fly. We are ready, though. Let's get right into our first round, our mulligan phase. We have 3 questions coming for you in the mulligan phase. Just like normal, this is a more standard question and answer kind of segment. Nothing special to it, really. We're going to start just like we always do with our champ at the top left, and we're going to go in a clockwork rotation. So Corden, Itachi, Steffi, then Lotus. And then for question 2, we will run that backwards and reverse. So Corden, question 1. And it's not really a question. This is the first time I haven't posted like a question for this. This is I just want you to give me your initial reactions to the most recent standard buffs / nerfs. How are you feeling from this? What are your thoughts coming out of these changes?
My guttural reaction is I'm not too happy. I don't think it really changed too much for everything going on. Really, honestly, I know everyone's saying Paladin got smashed, but really it just allowed Paladin to play more Paladin decks. So yeah, the aggro died, but I think it just opened the door for Libram Paladin to come back through, which, I mean, we've been seeing Libram Paladin since Schoolomance or something like that. I'm tired of it anyway, but we're just going to keep seeing it. I mean, personally, I don't think the nerfs did much. I think they hit decent cards. The buffs, I think, are the issue. I really think people were really excited about seeing 10 buffs across the board. and I think they personally fell flat. I think the best one was the Shield Maiden going from a 6/5/5 to a 5-mana 5/5. Gave Control Warrior a bit of life, but really at the end of the day, I think people are pretty upset with the buffs because they never do it, and for them to miss so badly, I think it lit Twitter on fire.
Twitter was ablaze. That is correct. Tachi, what are your initial reactions coming off these changes?
So initially, I was disappointed when I saw him because this is the same team that wasn't afraid to print Nitro Boost Poison at 1 and put Crab Rider as a perpetual Wind Fury minion with 4 health and 2 mana. So why were we so scared to boost cards that were really needing help? I mean, Tidal Surge is like no one's trying to play Tidal Surge for 3 when Drain Soul and Soul Shear essentially do the same thing for the same amount of or for less mana. That's just it's just ridiculous that we didn't get more aggressive from a team that's been really aggressive, saying that we can push a little bit of the balance that way, knowing that we can pull it back if it's too much. So I don't agree with I don't like the way that they did the buffs, and the nerfs didn't really change anything either because Paladin's all over ladder. So good job there, team.
Steffi, reactions.
Well, I get to go next. I didn't mind some of the nerfs that took place. I liked that they changed that. What was that one card? It was the 3-mana Hysteria. I like that they changed that to 4. I think that card was annoying as fuck, and I hated playing against it. So I'm happy to see that that was now pushed to 4. Sorry, I know I said that a little graphic. But I feel like nothing really changed with the Spring Water in regards to Mage. You still see it played. You still see all that good stuff, blah, 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 blah. However, I will say one thing I noticed with the buff is that one Hunter card that got buffed, I've been seeing like a cute little like Death Rattle Hunter deck floating around, and that's kind of cute. Maybe nobody else is seeing it, but I saw it, and I was like, that's cute. So like I see that they're trying, right? Like they tried to like buff some Shaman stuff, which isn't really seeing play at all. So, like, the effort, I feel like, was there, but it just really wasn't that successful buff-wise. But I agree with a lot of the nerfs. I didn't mind the nerfs at all. I thought they were necessary.
Do you mean Death Demon Hunter, or is there a Hunter card that I'm forgetting?
It's a Hunter card. Let me go look.
I think you're thinking of the 2-mana 3/2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Demon Hunter card.
Oh, was that Demon Hunter? Oh, it was a Demon Hunter deck. I'm sorry.
Had me confuzzled there.
I'm trying to keep you on your toes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was because that's the one with the 1 attack. Yeah.
Okay. Lotus.
So I'm going to disagree here. Initially, I was on board with everyone, and I thought, you know what, the nerfs and buffs meant nothing, just not enough happened. Yeah, Crab Rider was hit really hard, but Mage got hit a very tiny bit, etc., etc. But I've been realizing that some of the cards are way better than anyone's giving it credit. N'Zoth is fire. I went with it crazy today, and I've not gone this high in a very long time ranking-wise. I think that card was severely underrated in terms of its buff. No one really thought 1 mana was going to be that much, but it's so huge. You can do a lot with the card now. I think N'Zoth is a big deal. Even Death Rattle Demon Hunter is now a deck. It's a tier 3-4 deck, but it's a deck. It's decent. People are doing well with it. I think the 3/2 being buffed, the 2/2 to a 3/2 beast doesn't really matter as much, but it's a big deal. Now, Shamans really didn't matter. What they did to Shaman was just 1 or 2 cards. I wish they had buffed Shaman. I really, really enjoy playing just spell damage / Brukan Shaman, because that's just so fun. And Doomhammer hitting your opponent in the face is nice. But I just don't think they did Shaman justice. I do think that they're setting up for the mini set, though, and I think the mini set is going to tie in with a lot of what they've prepared right now.
Lotus, I'll make that your first verbal warning. We don't allow Shaman slander on this show.
Okay. It didn't slander. I just said that the nerfs didn't do it justice.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you want to call it, bud. Lotus, we're gonna start with you for our second question. We're gonna go back around, make our way back up to court, and what's that called? Counterclockwise. So let's talk Mage and a card that a lot of people were expecting to see a change from these round of nerfs, that being Incanter's Flow. So Lotus, Should Encanter's Flow have seen a nerf, or is Mage fine now without the change?
Have you played against Mage? It's just, I mean, the deck is more balanced now, but Flow is still hell. Like, nothing feels worse than when your opponent plays Flow on 2 and then either Flow on 3 or just Arcane Intellect on 3. That can still happen. And whenever they do, it doesn't matter that Spring Water is nerfed, you just lose. Like, there's nothing you can do a lot of times when they get Flow in a draw. And that's not okay. I really don't like losing games on turn 4 or 5 because my opponent played 5 extra mana because their cards cost 1 less. Like, literally in 2 turns, you're recovering the investment and doing a lot more from Flow. Now, is Mage fine? I think Mage is kind of balanced compared to the power level that everything is, but that doesn't mean too much when it's just the power level is really high right now. And the meta has kind of grown that Priest now has cards that beat it, and Paladin has decks that can beat Mage. Libram is actually pretty much fine against Mage. The only problem is Devolving Missiles, but you still do okay. So I would say Mage is better with the nerf, but I think the problem is just that the card that's really annoying to face, or the most annoying to face, is Flow. It's not Pot of Greed, and Flow needed to be touched.
Gotcha. Steffi.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that Encanter's Flow really is the main reason why the deck is still doing so well with that nerf. Now, granted, I don't think Mage is doing like exceptionally well because a lot of stuff we see on ladder is beating it. But you could ask yourself the question: are we seeing the things on ladder right now because Mage is still kind of relevant? But it is disgusting when you're playing against it and like they coin it out or they have it on 2 and then they have it on 3 and all of their stuff just costs really cheap and then you get hit in the face with all this damage and you're like, what just happened to me? So that's really annoying. So I do agree that if they were going to nerf, but then at the same time, I think like if they nerfed both of them, then would that have just made the deck unplayable? So like were they trying to like sit back and think, well, it's going to be one or the other, right? Like everybody bitches about card draw. And so they're like, why don't we just like nerf that one so to calm people down? And then, I mean, I could go back and forth. Do I think eventually it needs to be taken care of? Sure. But I do agree with the other nerf over that one, if that makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Tachi.
No, I don't think Encanter's Flow should have seen a nerf. I think that it's rather fine. You're discounting essentially an entire deck, which obviously you have to draw through the deck, you have to play the deck, but now you have to play 2 Encanter's Flows in order to gain mana when you play Refreshing Springwater. I think gaining mana while drawing cards was probably one of the most tilting parts of Mage because it allowed for, in addition to the Encanter's Flow, it allowed for extremely high-powered swing turns. So Enchantress is fine. The deck can't be unplayable. I don't think they want Mage to be out of the game. That's probably one of the best new player experiences. And it's the most prominent new player experience is to pick up a Mage deck because that's the first class that you play with when you open the game. So if they're trying to attract new players, they're trying to return players, and they're going to go back to their standard class or their favorite class, which are Mage and Rogue. So those decks, the game tends to be a little bit better as a whole when those decks are good. The game tends to be a little bit worse as a whole when Priest and Shaman are good. So I don't know. I think that Encanter's Flow is fine. I think that the deck being playable is great for the meta. I think that it keeps a lot of things in check. And I think that Refreshing Springwater to 5 was the correct nerf.
Awesome. Corden.
Encanter's Flow needs to die a horrible death. I am so tired of that card. I'm so sick of that card. Like, it's... They needed to nerf it. I mean, the point of nerfing Refreshing Springwater just wasn't enough because guess what you hard mulligan for? You don't hard mulligan for Refreshing Springwater. You hard mulligan for Encanter's Flow. And guess what Encanter's Flow does? It makes your Refreshing Springwater cost 4. So you're just cheating the mana regardless. Nobody was keeping Refreshing Springwater in the opening hand. You hard mulligan for a card. And that's literally why, like, that's the polarizing matchups. That's why Poison Rogue is so annoying. Hard mulligan for a weapon. Hard mulligan is awful right now in the meta. And when you hard mulligan for a card that can win you it, and you can run 2 of them, maybe make it a legendary. You know what I mean? Like, do something like that, giving so much back. And my last point is going to be that I think it's a buff to Mage because you just allowed them to now corrupt their ring toss. So you just allowed them to not only play, even if it's for 5 mana, you just allowed them to play a defensive tool in a ring toss to actually, I don't know, maybe if you want to draw cards, maybe if you want to gain 8 armor if you're against an aggro, or Netherwind Portal, which we actually have seen played in Mage, is that kind of 29th card. I mean, it's an indirect or buff to the class personally. So I don't like flow. I don't like playing Mage with it, but you have to right now to stay any point as aggressive.
All right, we have one more question, and CMAC gave you a point up there during your little speech, so you can thank him in the chat.
Thanks, C-Mac. Thanks, cousin. Thanks, man.
Are you guys really cousins?
No, Brushy
Oh.
Tuna. That's pretty much all I need to. Brushy, Uncle Brushy, and then he
Yeah.
made us his 2 nephews.
Oh,
Therefore,
okay, gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha. Well, you never know. We have family members in THL. I was
Oh,
like,
that's very
wait a
true.
minute, are you really cousins? Okay, so we have one more question left in the Mulligan phase. We're gonna talk a little bit of Battlegrounds. Steffi's ears perked up there for a little bit. We're gonna talk about Quillbores and the recent nuke that they saw to the entire Quillbore species. They a lot of them got hit, which kind of goes back to, I think it was either last show or the show prior, where we talked about possible upcoming changes to Quillbores, and you guys were like, oh, maybe we'll see one here or there, and then they were like, let's just change all of them. So my question, and we're gonna start with Itachi. Did the Quillbores nuke create a healthy battleground state, or is it does it still need some work?
The Quillbores nuke definitely created a better Battlegrounds place because now you don't have to have Quillbores to win the game. But Quillbores are definitely an essential part of being in Battlegrounds. And I think one of the big parts of the Quillbore nerf being as extreme as it is that they don't have another patch planned for a little while now. And so if you play with the new toy for far too long, it gets old really quick. And I think that they don't want Quillbores to get that old that quick because it's not going to change that quick. There's nothing new coming in Battlegrounds, especially with the work being put into Mercenaries right now. So I think that the Quillbore nerf definitely helped out Battlegrounds. It gave way for you can see beast comps, you can see better menagerie comps, you can see Murlocs with just a whole bunch of stats win the game. Demons are still irrelevant, but they were irrelevant kind of before the patch anyway. So I think that the Quillbore nerf helped. I think that they may have went a little overboard. I think that they could have left them a little bit stronger. A few things that I thought about were like Sharga could either have went to the effect that it was, or it could have kept the stats. So like one of the two should have been the nerf there. But I mean, I'm not the one that balances the game. So overall, I do think they created a better situation for Battlegrounds because you can kind of do some of the old things that you were reminiscent of beforehand that you were familiar with, but you also get the new toys to play with that are super strong.
Steffi, agree? Disagree? Other thoughts?
Oh my gosh, I think this was a great change. They released all of these Quillbore minions who were so statted already, like without any of the additional stuff, and it was kind of like overwhelming at first. Like with elementals, when they released elementals, they built off of each other. I feel like almost all of these Quillbore minions were just fine on their own as you play them. It was really overwhelming. So I really am happy to see that they made the changes. I think all of the changes that they made were appropriate. I think some of the cards are still broken. Like, I think probably one of the strongest builds that we see is ending with specific Quillbore pieces or just like Menagerie in general. That's what wins you the game. And a lot of the pieces are still from the new release with the Quillbore. So I love it. I'm very happy to play again. The first few weeks I was like kind of like overwhelmed and anxious, but now I'm just like, no, this is good. This is nice and balanced. So it was necessary.
Gordon.
No, I don't think it's healthy. I think they're getting there, but I don't think they actually touched upon the actual issue, which is blood gems. Blood gems are the issue in right now. The fact that you can play blood gems on not only Quillbores, but also Unstable Elemental, which already has Wind Fury Divine Shield. You can play it on anything else. I mean, really the only card that had any chance of changing was Bonker. Now the golden now pretty much sucks. You almost never really go for it unless you really get into a triple on 4 or on 3 like really early and are able to scale that. But I think they need to change some of the actual blood gem mechanics. I don't think changing stats is enough. Making Bannerbore a 1/4 is really not going to change the fact that it gives 2 adjacent minions blood gems and one of those minions gets a divine shield. Like it's just Quillbores are way too overpowered. They still need to look at them, and I don't really think that. Wow. But not everyone does have access to blood gems. There's a finite amount in the tavern, and if you're playing someone like Tess literally just re-rolls an entire board if you're late game and just picks what she wants and gets free 6-tier minions and triples. So blood gems being a finite tool, you need to be able to get those blood gem generators, and if you don't, you feel really bad. Or you need to go a different comp, which really the only thing that's beating Quillboars right now is the unfortunate roll poison. So if Murlocs are out, you're kind of screwed.
All right, Lotus.
Okay, so I think there are a few points when thinking about Quillboars. I do think right now Battlegrounds is healthier because it was really bad before. But was it enough? I think the big issue is what Steffi said with the Menagerie build. The Hearthstone Battlegrounds that we were playing was basically a Menagerie game. Like a lot of builds ended up going towards Lightfang, a lot of builds ended up going towards Menagerie. Just because A, it's not as hard to comp as some of the other comps, and B, you have Amalgadon, which is insane. And I think the Quillboars aren't super healthy just because there's just encouraging more and more of this Menagerie. Amalgadon is still one of the best cards, and I think there's a problem with the boar guy being a beast. Because the fact that it's a beast means it's so good when we're talking about Menagerie builds. So I think if we're talking about Quillboars did make a healthier Battleground state now that they've been nerfed, but I think there's still a problem with Menagerie with Poison Divine Shield minions, especially a problem with cards like Lightfang and the one that buffs everyone by +1/+1 whenever you play a Blood Gem. I don't think Blood Gems are super problematic on itself. I think they're interesting. They're an interesting mechanic, and they reward you for making the interesting decision of whether you want to play it or save it. I think the big problem is actually just Menagerie and actually just Poison.
All right. got a nice little conversation going here at the start. We have a bit of a separation though between our first and second, and then third and fourth places.
Hurtful. Why are you bringing attention to that? Just saying. Hurtful.
Let's see if they can catch up here a little bit. Ducharmo, thank you for the subscription there. Yeah, that resub, 28 months. Look at you go, bud. Look at you go. Bud, yeah. Let's move on to our face trade round. As a reminder, face trade is a bit of a shorter round, more fast-paced questions. I'm going to give our participants a statement rather than a question. They're going to have the option of going face, meaning they agree, or trade, meaning they disagree with that statement, and then they can provide a quick explanation, and then we will eliminate 2 of our participants at the end of these 4 face or trade questions. We are going to go in order of point totals to start. So we're going to go Itachi, Corridon, Lotus, and then Steffi. And we're going to talk Hero series. And we're going to talk about a particular 5 seed in the Hero series. We're going to talk about Mr. Saku the Great, Saku the Goat. So Itachi, face or trade, Saku is the 5 seed to watch out for this season in Hero. Or is it a fluke?
Trade. I love Saku. I think he's a great player. I think Saku has quite the amount of obligation within THL, which leaves his THL practice time very limited. I think that the meta has allowed him to kind of get a hold on what's going on, but as soon as something shakes up, if he doesn't have the time because he's got this show, that operation to do, Saku may not have the time to put in to beat some of the other stacked 5 seeds in the Hero series this season.
All right. Corridon.
Oh, face. I gotta shout out my hometown hero, Saku. He's been playing insane. I mean, the guy's beating PRs way above him. He is. He lives about 2 hours, or not even, like 20 minutes away.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah, straight up. That's how I got the THL. Anyway, Saku is playing insane. I was talking to him today, and he's finding the time. I mean, we just had patch changes, and he took a 3-1 win last week. So, I mean, especially in Hero, you see those 3-1s and 3-0s, and yeah, the 5 seed's dangerous, but the guy's 4-1. I mean, it goes to show at this point that he is one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous person in the 5 seed right now. You're not 4-1 for no reason. he didn't coast through 4 guys and find one hard person to fight, and then the rest 7 are just sitting there waiting like Scott Pilgrim and the angry ex-wives or whatever that is. So, I mean, he's coming through. Saku is the great. He's the nicest person in the world. So, 100% face.
No, please.
I did. Before we pass the torch over to Lotus, thank you to Lotus for subscribing. Thanks to Markshire for subscribing. And we have a little bit of a hype train going on. Choo choo choo. Lotus Knight, your turn.
So I am in Saku's team, and I've seen how much prep work he is putting into every single map. It's really insane. Saku has been so good at thinking about his opponents and just trying to figure out what decks, what techs, how to really build his decks. I think it's amazing, and I really like. We've been talking a lot. Him, me, and Darren have been talking a lot about everything, and I think he's just improved so much. I know Itachi said Saku is busy, but what he didn't say is that Saku's actually doing one less show right now because Fish took over the Thursday show, which I forgot the name right now, but I do know that Fish took over for Saku. And yes, and Fish is also looking for them. I don't remember the name, but Fish also took over looking for matches for Saturday, calling out Donde for sometimes looking late, but that is less work that Saku has to do. Saku also learns a lot in his streams. I've casted with him before, and casting does teach you, surprisingly. I learn a lot when I'm casting good matches. So I think Saku is taking it to heart. I think he's working hard on improving. And I would say Saku is definitely the 5 seed to watch out for this season. I would be really worried if I was facing him.
Alrighty. Before we toss to Steffi, honk honk Goose, thank you for the sub. Steffi.
What else can I say that nobody else did? Wait, obviously I'm going to say face, and I'm going to keep talking, and I'm going to tell you why. So the one thing that I really like about Saku, I'm just like, everybody said everything that I was thinking, but that just goes to show you how well Saku's been doing. Because not just his performance, that's like the tip of the iceberg, right? Like he has the performance to back him up in the Hero series, but he's also very active in the community and is constantly trying to better himself and is very involved. And that makes you a better player. You know, whether you're casting, like even if you're casting a different series, you're still looking at the cards and the mechanics and you're getting a feel for these decks that you're seeing. And that's something that Saku is, we all know that because we've all casted with him at one point. So like he's just incredibly involved and he is so hardworking. He's on my team as well, not in Hero, and another team I don't really like to talk about that much because but he is doing, you know, he's putting his efforts in and he's trying his best and he's always asking what can he do better or about what can he improve on. And that's what makes a really good player. It's not about always winning. It's about taking those losses and learning from them. And he's one of those players that does that. So face all day.
All right.
Saku's the man.
Alrighty. Let's talk some battlegrounds here real quick. Let's see. Who hasn't gone first?
Lotus.
Lotus hasn't. No, he did.
I
He
haven't
went for a
gone
second.
first either.
Steffi hasn't gone first.
Wow.
I knew it was someone. I was trying to think. Steffi,
Take a point away
starting
from
with you. This question is going to look oddly familiar to you. Face or
No way.
trade? Ground Shaker is still completely broken after the nerfs.
I was like, what was the question that we talked about? Face. All right. This card is a 4. It's on tier. It's a 4-mana card or 4-tier, whatever. It's stupid. It is so annoying. And after I gave you this question, I thought about it even more and was getting even more annoyed by how broken this card still is because it's on tier 4, Tavern 4. So it's even more accessible than the Tavern 5 one that buffs different minion types. This one gives everybody a +2 attack other than itself, but it doesn't matter if it gives it itself because that was its nerf because you're still putting the blood gem on it, and then everything else gets +2 attack. What if somebody gets an early Cave Hydra? Then like there goes your board, and then you're sad. What if they have a good menagerie build and they have their Cyclone and their bubble minions and all that good stuff? It's so annoying to play against, but I love it when I get it. And like that's how I know that it's still really broken. When I'm mad when I see my opponent have it, but then when I have it, I'm feeling really good and confident. So yeah, face. I think this card is still completely broken even after the nerf. It's tier 4. It's stupid to me. Yeah.
Lotus, fish trade.
I have to go agree with Steffi here. It's a face. I think just the fact that you can basically keep casting Savage Roar and Savage Roar and Savage Roar very early in Battlegrounds. Like, you can triple on 3 and get that, and then you know you're basically trying to get as many blood gems as you can, and you're not going to lose anytime soon, so you can go rank fast, you can do a lot of stuff based on the fact that you have an early Ground Shaker. Not only that, it synergizes with every card you want to play in the Menagerie build. Remember when I mentioned that that was broken? It synergizes with that a lot, just because you want to play Wind Fury cards, you want to play just cards that do a lot. Now, Ground Shaker is a very problematic card. I just think that Battlegrounds does have a few others right now. I wouldn't say it is the most broken card in the game, but it is a very, very dangerous card. I still want to call out Amalgadon because Amalgadon is a mess, and I don't know how that's still as it is. So, yeah, my argument would be that Ground Shaker is completely broken.
All right, Corden.
Yeah, it is broken for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, the passive is, or not the passive, but the ability is really good. But it's really, you don't discover it too often. I think there's better minions on tier 4 that are really discoverable. You really want to roll into this and pick it up. I don't know if you're grabbing it right off the bat, because really, if you grab it off of a triple, unless you have blood gems to play, it's really not as impactful on a triple turn. I think the issue is discovering it and then being able to use other cards to buff it. I think the biggest issue with this card is actually another card in Battlegrounds, Neophyte, which allows you to take blood gems off of a minion and apply them to another one. So even if you feel like maybe you're wasting your blood gems applying them to the Ground Shaker, and you're constantly only giving your minions +2 attack for every blood gem this turn is the key, but you're actually wasting your blood gems, you're not, because you just buy Neophyte, you rip it off, and you slap it on that Hydra, you slap it on the Foe Reaver, and you've automatically just every 20 blood gems you've played has made your cleaves amazingly strong. Or put it on your Donger. Throw your Donger out there and just make it a Divine Shield poison taunt with, X amount. I think there's so much supporting Ground Shaker that Ground Shaker itself is an unfortunate, because it can win you some slow matchups. It's very similar to Baron's Blacksmith. Blacksmith, yeah. It's a very similar to that card, where it's just an unfortunate card that can hit people for a lot of, yeah, I know, that's quotable, but it is. That can just hit people for early on and win you some unwinnable matchups or unfavorable matchups. But I think changing Ground Shaker is difficult. Maybe you need to change Neophyte. Maybe it needs to go up a tier so it's harder to discover. So then you don't have the, I guess, fluidity of buying it and switching stuff up.
Tachi.
I don't think it's completely broken. So I just got to be the contrarian here, because if you have the ability to expend that many blood gems turn after turn so that you make it fantastically good, then you're probably either really far ahead or you're pretty much even with the field. So you could spend those blood gems in a different way. If you've got such an awesome, amazing board with Hydra and Foe Reaper and all this other stuff, then those blood gems could be used for a number of different things to advance your game. Ground Shaker is really good, but it's essentially Metal Tooth Leaper for a turn. And then you have to have so much space in order to even do the Neophyte or Neolite thing. You have to have the space for the Ground Shaker. You have to have the space for the Neolite. You have to have the minion you want to put it on. And then you have to have an empty space to play it. So, I mean, it's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So if you can manage it, if you're that strong, you're probably going to win the game anyway at that point, where you have the space to be able to take a minion out of your comp, put 3 extra minions in it, and then be still strong enough to win the next few fights and not die. So I don't think it's completely broken. I think it's fine where it is. I don't think it's worth changing. If I triple on 4, I'm not super excited to have a Ground Shaker unless I have a bunch of blood gems saved up, in which case I don't know why I had a bunch of blood gems saved up, unless I was just specifically gearing my game plan towards looking for Ground Shaker. So it's a little bit weird. I think there's a lot of power on 4, and I don't think the Ground Shaker is the best thing that you can do on 4.
All righty. Let's move on to Stan.
Great.
Did he not say it?
He did not.
Corden also didn't say it.
Oh shit.
But nobody pointed that out.
Okay.
So.
No. Yeah. No.
All right.
There it is. Retroactive. It's like Uno. If someone calls you out for not saying it before you say it, sorry.
Did Steffi say it? Just I don't know.
Hold on.
If we're doing
you're
this,
lucky
we're
I
going
muted. I
Steffi.
screamed,
You want to
"Yeah!"
play? We'll play. I got boys. I got shooters in the chat. Go check the
Run that
VOD.
tape.
I got shooters in the
chat.
Go check the VOD.
Oh my god.
He said face
I'm
right
just fine.
away.
It's fine. I know. It's...
Let's move back to standard here and let's talk about Paladin a little bit. So Paladin is still top of the meta right now, even after getting, as our hat would say in his tweets, completely destroyed. Based off of the kind of supports Paladin's been getting over the past couple of expansions, it seems like Paladin might be kind of difficult to balance, to get to bring in a lot of their different archetypes into into a healthy state. So let's start with Lotus here. Face or trade Lotus. Paladin is going to be very difficult to balance.
I'm glad you're giving me the Paladin question after really playing a ton of Paladin today.
I know you
Is
were.
Paladin going to be very difficult to balance? I think it's true. It's a face for Paladin. And the big difference is the power level for Paladin is not concentrated in the single card. Like, if you look at Mage, we all know what the problem is. It's called Encounter Slow. And as long as you nerf Encounter Slow, you're done. You basically have Mage nerfed. And there are many other classes. Priest is also a problem, but that we can talk about Priest later. The problem with Paladin that makes it very difficult to balance is that so many cards are overtuned. Like, you just have a ton of cards that do everything a little bit better than any other class should. You have a 6-mana weapon that summons a 6/6 and still gives you a 3/3. And that 6/6 has Taunt. That card is very powerful. You have Hand of a Doll, which basically means if you had a 1 or a coin 2, you're going to win. There's nothing your opponent can do to overcome a minion that's that big, that early, and that drew him a card. The problem with Paladin is not that there's one broken thing, it's that they've been giving them overtuned cards on and on and on. And I think that happens with classes. In Hearthstone, it's happened a bit. That was a problem with mid-range Shaman, I would say. Although Tunnel Trog was borderline a super broken card, you do have just a kit as a whole that's a problem, and that makes it way more difficult to balance. I think we're going to see a Paladin nerf, yes, at some point, but you're going to need to think, A, how many Paladin decks are actually good with the viability of N'Zoth Paladin, the viability of Libram Paladin, the viability of Aggro Paladin. And just you're going to need to be thinking about that.
Did I miss some Shaman slander?
Yeah.
I did not mention Shaman.
Oh yeah.
Did I miss
I mentioned
that?
mid-range. Yeah, I mentioned mid-range Shaman a long time ago. That's
Oh,
He
different.
tore it
That
to
was
pieces.
tier 1.
He put it to the dogs.
Bruh, you are lucky I missed that. I was fixing my headset. Oh my god. Okay. Whew. Started to get
I was
heated there
something
for a
good thinking
second.
about it.
All right. Okay. Big trust. Itachi. Face trade.
Face, yeah. Paladin is super difficult to balance. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in that deck between the secrets and the Librams, and then the really aggressively costed buffs. Blessing of Authority is really big. 8/8 is huge, even though it's not seen as much play right now. There's Conviction is a 1-mana fireball that's insane. About the time that you want to finish the game anyway. It's just really hard to take Paladin in a vacuum and say these are the problem cards, because there are a couple of problem cards. And even though they tried to address it with the sword, they tried to address it with the Crab Rider, there's still just so many powerful options that you can kind of rotate through. And Paladin, to be fair, Paladin spent a long time being bad, but I don't think that we deserve this, because now it's been on top and kind of repetitive for this like a year and a half now, and it's just kind of getting old. Once one thing goes out, Libram Paladin is just kind of they're waiting in the wings. So they nerfed aggro a little bit, and then Libram Paladin came back out to play, and it's kind of like, yeah, we've been doing this thing for 4 expansions. So I'd like to do something different with Paladin. I like it when Paladin is good, because it's kind of the boring good class, the like true neutral of Hearthstone, and I think that we need that. But I don't think that it being it's like chaotic neutral currently, and I don't like the way that they have balanced Paladin or not balanced Paladin. So yeah, it's gonna be hard for the team.
All right. Bonus point for the D&D references. Gordon.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult. Face. It's extremely difficult. Face to. It's extremely difficult to balance. I mean, if you look on HS Replay right now, the top 3 decks are Paladin. I mean, that's not okay. And last week, Libram was like talked about a little bit, but all of a sudden, you nerf Crab Rider and Librams is back in the shining light. I mean, last expansion we were playing pure Paladin. That was just super annoying as well, and that just played Librams again. And then when that rotated out, we just played Libram Paladins, but we put pen flingers in them to be annoying and call everybody losers. I mean, Paladin has been around, it's been annoying. I kind of enjoyed not having to deal with Libram Paladins, because at least in a way against the aggro Paladins and the secret Paladins, you can kind of interact with it. I mean, it's very difficult. Priest is probably your best way, but I find Libram Paladin to be, and now you're putting secret packages in, it's just, you can't really interact with that whatsoever. You want to bust him down, okay, he's got a Libram of Hope for 6 because he played 2 cards. You know what I mean? It's just so ridiculous. And to nerf Wind Fury and the Crab Rider, I mean, it's great for the aggro Paladin, but I really am getting a bit tired of Libram Paladin, and we've seen it for quite some time. It came out in Ashes, and it's just kind of like beating a dead horse. When people don't know what to play, they're going to come back and play Libram Paladin. So it's extremely difficult to balance. You can't change every single card in Paladin. It's just not a thing. So,
Sephi.
I was gonna try to be like quirky and think of a counter in the next 3 minutes, but I really couldn't, because I agree with everybody here. So face. Paladin, the issue with Paladin, I think it was kind of touched on. I don't remember which one of these fine gentlemen said it, but Paladin has good cards like throughout the whole round of the game. So they have good early game, they have good mid game, and they have good end game components. And that's what makes them so, I feel like, tricky to deal with. Like, yeah, for a while we were dealing with the super aggressive Paladin decks, and we still are. I would argue that Libram Paladin is still pretty aggressive, and it's really annoying, but I like it because I play it, so it makes me win. But it is annoying, and it's dominating, and I agree with the fact that if you look and you see what are the top decks that are winning, and if it's all one class, that makes it really boring. Like, there's classes that we're not seeing being played because Paladin and some of the other classes just have such dominating cards that can't be reckoned with. And that wasn't changed in the nerfs and the buff. So I would agree, face here. They just have too many components as a whole that are so good in all parts of the gameplay that I don't know how they're going to change it. But that's not my job to know, so that's fine. Not my problem.
Alrighty. I want a card that makes your opponent heals damage them instead. Wait. Sure. I'm very confused. All right, we have one more question left in our face trade round. We're going to stick with the topic of standard. And as is final question tradition, we're going to let the person in last place choose the order. Steffi.
Whoa.
Hold on. Before you get at me, I know you're tied for last. But you've been in last until this point, so I'm giving you this choice.
I don't know why you're putting this type of attention on me.
All right, Lotus.
I would like to. No, I'm gonna still choose. I'm just had to make my side comment. At least, I'm not the one that's talking smack about Shaman, but okay. I would like to go second. I don't like going first because I don't like to not know what the question is. I like to go second.
Wait, hold on. What is this? What is this?
You just said I get to choose the order, right?
It's usually would you like to go first or would you like to go last?
You said I could choose the order, so I could choose the order.
Okay, what's the order then? Give me the order.
I'm about to riot.
What's the order? What's the order?
Corden goes first.
Okay, you're going second? Who's going third?
I want to go second.
Okay.
We'll let Itachi go third, and then Lotus Knight go fourth.
Okay. All right. Corden.
Sure.
I guess we're just making our own rules now. Corden, first up. Face of Trade. Let's talk about the current meta, and let's also talk about the upcoming mini set. So the last mini set saw a few handfuls of cards that got put into various already established archetypes, and I don't remember that big of a meta shift, just kind of like bumps in cards that were already being played. So, Corin, my face straight question for you is, without knowing these cards and knowing what happened last mini set, the current meta will see a minimal shift with the upcoming mini set.
I trade on this one. I think with the nerfs and the buffs that they just did, they're probably setting up some behind the scenes stuff, that some cards that they're creating for the mini set to reinvigorate and make some of the less played classes better. So I mean, it's gonna be a fine line of dancing between what is made better and what is not, but you also need to make sure that you don't buff the really well playing cards. Right now you just went after like Crab Rider, which actually just came out in the mini set. So to have a card come out in the mini set that was, you know, so established and so dominating to already get changed, I think it really shows the power that these mini sets can have. And I think the fact that not only are the cards and stuff, the mini set is also extremely easy to get. You pay 2,000 gold and you just get it. You can just get the mini set for playing the game in Hearthstone. So not only is it going to be changing because of the nerfs and buff, it's also one of the most attainable. So therefore, the cards that are played are going to be played more often. So when you're getting the entire set for just paying 2,000 gold or paying whatever the money is if you're a big whale, then you just are able to play all the cards. And every card is going to be able to find a niche. Every card is going to be able to drag whatever class it needs to out from the gutter and back to its, you know, great and full power. So I definitely have to trade that one. I think it's going to be a big shakeup, especially with the nerfs and buffs that they didn't really do much with.
Steffi, second.
I already regret going second. I wish I heard everybody else's answers. Okay. So, like, I want to say, okay, so the current meta will see a minimal shift with the mini set. I'm actually going to go face with that. I agree with that. I think if we look at behavior, like, not behavior, I'm looking for. If we look at the patterns from the past, if we're looking at what the meta has been like, oh, I heard myself. That's obnoxious. We notice that specific classes are still dominating, even when new cards are added, even when there are a bunch of changes. Have like, yes, the new shiny toy, people will play with it for like, you know, a few weeks. They play around with it and see what they like and what we don't like. But typically, if there's a deck dominating, it's for a reason. And I don't necessarily think a mini set is going to change that, which means I don't think this specific meta is going to change that much because we see such a dominating class. I think if it was more distributed on which decks were doing well or what kind of meta we were seeing, I would say, yeah, of course. I think that would just add to the fun. But because I feel like Hearthstone is so dominated right now, I don't think a mini set is going to make a big change. So I'm going to say it's going to be minimal. So face.
Alrighty. Tachi.
I am going to trade. I totally disagree with this. If we look at the history of the mini set, which is 1 out of 1, Dark Moon Races, if we look at every deck that's been played since Dark Moon Races, it's been by and part defined by the most recent mini set. Crab Rider, Armor Vendor, Illidari Studies, Arbor Up, Conjure Man and Biscuit, Libram of Judgment, Sparkjoy Cheat, Envoy Rustwix, Fellfire Jedi, Imprison Phoenix, Nitro Boost Poison, Rally, Hysteria. Are we forgetting about all these cards and how much impact they still have on the meta now? The meta is probably going to be totally different if they continue to go in the same wave that they went with the Dark Moon Races mini set. Things will be drastically different. Crab Rider drastically changed the meta. And even when they did the previous set before, I don't remember what the name of it was, but when they introduced, I think it was Galakron's Awakening, which was kind of the previous mini set, quote unquote,
Yep.
But they introduced Risky Skipper. Like every time that they introduce these cards in the mid expansion sets, they've changed the game completely. So I don't know. I think that trading here is definitely the play because there's no way that they're going to introduce 35 cards and it's not going to change anything.
Alrighty. Did he get a point for every card named? No, he did not get a point for every card named. He named like 10 cards. And he got 3 points. Lotus, take us home. You got 5 points to tie Corridon, 6 points to take second.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking.
Hold on, before you talk, I know how you like to do. Get your point up front. You don't get points for rambling, remember that.
I know.
Okay. Just
I'm
making
not.
sure.
Well, don't worry.
Okay.
I think there's one big thing that everyone's missing here, and that is what the current expansion did. The current expansion set up a lot of decks, and they set up a lot of decks but left one or two cards missing. That is the example of Ping Mage. Ping Mage is just a few cards off from being playable, and if Mage gets something decent this expansion, that deck could come back, or could come in. It really wasn't a thing before. There are other decks that I think that's the case. Death Rattle Demon Hunter is the case for that. We've had quite a few decks that are just one or two cards off. And this happened like expansion as well. They prepared things and just never gave them that closing piece that made that deck super playable. Because these decks are missing the closing piece, you're able to do a lot with the mini set. And the mini set also has quote unquote more intelligence in the sense that they've seen these cards for a while now, so they know what worked and what didn't, and they know that they can give something else to try to buff a deck into playability. Like, they know now that Ping Mage didn't work as they wanted it to, so they can give something to make the deck playable. And I think that is actually the problem, and that's how the mini set is going to shift the meta and fix it.
Alrighty. Those are great points. Those are really great points. Unfortunately, you ended just shy of Corden, but I agree. I as a big Ping Mage fan who tries to make it work about once a week, I'm hoping you're right. I'm really hoping you're right. Lotus and Steffi, do you have anything you would like to say before I throw you on mute until the end of the show?
Good luck, guys. Have fun.
That was
I'm nervous.
That was kind of scary.
I'm upset.
I was like, good luck.
No, I was generally trying to be nice.
Okay. All right. Let's yeah, right. Let's move on to our final round. I'm gonna throw them on mute. All right, there we go. Beautiful. I'm gonna reset our scores here. Let's get ourselves back down to 0. Gotta do it manually. All right, we don't do things automatic around here. We have 3 questions for our dual rounds. There's 3 fingers being held up here. It looked like 2. I'm sorry. They are all 3 THL related questions. I have 1 Legacy, 1 Wild, and 1 Battlegrounds question because we are in the final week of our Battlegrounds series of playoffs, not just regular series. Let's start off with Legacy. So Corden. Oh no, Tachi was leading. So Tachi will go first, and then Corden will go second, and then we'll swap with the second question. Corden will go first, Tachi will go second, and then we'll swap back for the final question. So, first question, Legacy. It hurt my soul to type out this question. I had a tear in my eye, and I can't believe I'm typing. I'm about to speak these words. Tachi. Hearthstone Abademy? Is it time for HSA to look to next season?
Ooh. No, it's not time yet. They've got 2 incredible players in Base Inc. and Callus Luna, a fantastic 3, 4, and 5 seed. They're very capable of turning the season around. They're currently against a team that's 2-2 and Meme Dream Team this week. Not too far ahead, less than 10 points ahead. They've got room to make up. So if Steffi, Mako, and Saku can get some good wins, I have faith in Base Inc. and Callus Luna and pulling home some wins as well. I think that abandoning the season at 4 games in is quite the wrong way to look at things. F2L and Hero, for instance, 4 weeks in was like 0-4, and we also made playoffs. So don't abandon until you're mathematically eliminated. I think HSA's got the potential to be a really strong team.
All right, Corden.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think you do kind of need to abandon ship. You got to start bailing. There's a point where your 1 and 2 seeds are still winning. They're 3 and 1, which is great records. But when your bottom 3 haven't found their wins yet, and like it's not even that maybe F2L won and got into the playoffs. Unfortunately, when 0 and 3 and 0 and 4 in your seeds, it's difficult to find the points to get back into the wins just because. It's great that you're getting points. Maybe they're 3-2s or 3-1s. They're close games, but 0 and 4s and 0 and 3s are really detrimental to the overall point totals. especially in a very strong gold division right now. I don't think it's going to be impossible, but I also don't think that at the end of the day, um, trying to find your first 2 wins in your 3 and your 4 seed into week 6 we're coming into now, that's extremely difficult. I mean, usually if you can bang off your first 1 or 2 or find it somewhere, is it week 5? Thank you, Itachi. If you can find it, I mean, it's gonna be very difficult. So maybe it's just find what we can, regroup till next season. Maybe we should talk it out. Say, is anyone really not feeling it? Is someone, maybe dismantle the team? It sounds awful. Everyone's friends. I'm not saying kick someone out because they're underperforming, but sometimes chemistry, it's definitely Steffi. Sometimes chemistry just isn't there with teams. You see really two great players in Base and Case Luna, and maybe there's just a chemistry issue. Who knows?
Alrighty. Let's talk a little bit of wild. Let's get wild here. Let's talk about F2L Viridian. Currently 5-0. I think they might be. I might be mistaken. They might be the only undefeated team in THL currently. Is that correct?
Technically, Mancrick's Revenge is undefeated. They are 3-0 and 2.
Twice.
Okay.
Twice.
We'll say only undefeated team. We'll put an asterisk next to it.
Yeah.
So Corridon, can anyone take down F2L Viridian in wild? Or is this just, are they just going to coast through to the finals?
Yeah, I think they're due to actually get a loss. I mean, I don't think the storybook ending, like maybe everyone's a winner had last year, is going to be repeated. I just think that was the absolute nuts. That team is stacked up. Not saying that F2L wasn't, but I think people are starting to figure out what everyone's a winner was about. Turtle actually handing Sunday his first loss, Slad giving Hazer his first loss. Battertagger still playing really well in the 1, but I mean, that was a close match. It was 14-12. It's not like they smashed them. It's not like it was a blowout. It came right down to the wire. There's still Mancrick's Revenge, who is kicking at the heels of these teams, and I really do think they can still give them a run for their money. If you look at Viridian's average opponent strength, I mean, it's only a 14.2. They're right in the middle there. They really haven't gone into, they've gone into the big juggernaut of everyone's a winner and was able to give them their first loss, but I don't think going for the storybook ending of a perfect season is going to happen here. I think someone's bound to give them a shot and bring them back down to reality.
All right. Tachi, I know you probably got some thoughts here.
So if anyone's familiar with a recent copy pasta, I was carried by wild players recently.
Oh God, yeah. The Twitter.
So they took me. I was carried and we made it to the finals, and the season before we won. So taking me off and replacing me with one of the best players in Wild and get me out is a recipe for disaster for everyone else in the Wild series. And also, I think there are some strong teams in Hair Club and Everyone's a Winner still. They're really strong teams. But if you look at F2L, they're just really stacked from top to bottom. They've been the team to beat for 2 consecutive seasons, and they improved on their roster this season significantly. So if you think that it's going to be an easy task to take down this team with everyone above 50% win rates, 3-2 is the 5 seed, that's not going to be realistic for anybody. I think F2L cruises.
Alrighty. Before we move to our last question, I was trying to think of a way to create a question around your newly crowned famous copy pasta, but I couldn't think of one.
Yeah, that was.
I tried.
0 standard championships, by the way.
Anyways, we have one more question left. Tachi's got to go first. Cordon's got to go second. We're going to talk Battlegrounds. We're in the last week of finals. In case anyone didn't know, finals for Battlegrounds is 2 weeks long. This is the second week, so we do have some point totals going into the final week. So we have a current standings going into our last week of finals. Last season, the champions were Bob's Bounty Hunters. So my question for Itachi, final question. There we go. Hit that transition button. Itachi, will Bob's Bounty Hunters retain, or will we crown a new champion?
I think we'll crown a new champion this year in Lemurs. Lemurs has taken a significant advantage already in the finals. It's going to be really hard to overtake them. They've got 3 players in BV Bat, Lee, and Mr. Incredible that are top 200 consistently on the Battlegrounds leaderboard. Now, while Bob's Bounty Hunters is no slouches themselves. They've got Pocky, Hopper Bear, Andraste, and Jumpflo, who are also have been leaderboard Battlegrounds players. I think that Lee and his team have consistently put up better numbers throughout the entire season. I think that they have a stronger overall team chemistry and grasp of the game. And I think that they've come into THL and they've played the team series quite well. And they clearly have a better understanding of, or a good understanding of how to navigate team series, with them also having tournaments that they've all competed in together. So it's not that this is something that's new to them. This is something that's true to them. So I think that Lemurs take it out this season. They're in prime position to do so. And 2 more solid performances this upcoming week will solidify that.
Gordon.
Yeah, we definitely are going to crown a new champion this year. It's unfortunate. Bob's Bounty Hunters obviously would like to repeat, but Lemurs is just on a different level, I think. Yeah, everyone's on the leaderboards and things like that, but Lemurs was also playing to the fact that they saw specific people in lobbies and actually changed up their Friday to Sunday schedule and had people playing in different areas. Not only was Lemurs playing in those tournaments, while they were playing in those tournaments, they were taking subs for their turns, and they still got in the first place to get the bye. These guys are on a different level. When they were in playing, they were just scoring points like nobody's business. I really don't think the caliber of player that we have right now is going to match up to them. And with the point differential that they have, you need them to, we need 8s across the board from them. And then Bob's Bounty Hunters is going to have to score 1s and 2s. And I really don't see that happening. Lemurs was everybody's favorite, I think, coming into the opening show. I was on the pre-season rankings, and when I discovered this team and saw them, it was insane. So I 100% have to say that we're going to see a new crown champion here, and I just don't know if there's anything Battlegrounds-wise that's going to happen.
All right. Well, speaking of new crown champions, Corrigan, you kind of threw that one up for me, didn't you? Just put that on a tee and knocked it out of the park for me. Anyways, we have a new crown champion. He came in saying the champ is here, John Cena, and then all of a sudden he's walking around with the crown with the championship belt. So hood goes up. I'm stalling for a second as I changed a couple of things on our screen. Itachi, new champion. Let's get that crown on your head. There you go. Itachi, you get about 30 seconds to say whatever you want without any interruption. Floor is yours.
Oh, I ain't come here for no folks. I ain't come here for no playing around. I ain't come here for no trife and no strife. I came here to win, and I did what I came here to do. Y'all ain't got to worry about me. I'm not gonna fight nobody. Nobody don't want to fight. They wanted to fight. So we came out here and we threw some blows. And old old Corridon ain't got nothing on me. He knew he had nothing on me from the beginning. He over there scared. The champ is here. That's what they say. You hear them folks chanting out there. The champ is here. That was my Muhammad Ali impression.
That was beautiful. I think you set a new bar for lethal speeches here at the end of the show. That was great. Well, congratulations. Hopefully Itachi will be back next week to defend his crown and to compete for that season 2 overall champion winner and keep that crown into further seasons. I still need to fix this Dorito crown. I keep forgetting to get rid of the little circle in the middle. I'm going to do that right after the show. Steffi, Lotus, you are unmuted. Welcome back to the show.
Hello.
Yeah, Flame Princess crown, you're right. Anything you guys want to say before we head out here?
Wait, was that directed to me and Lotus Knight?
That was directed to both of you, yes.
I just wanted... I was about to start talking. I was going to thank because of all the personalities that were here. So thank you guys for being great company and for kicking my butt. You guys did great.
Lotus, final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone. It's great being with everyone here. I just had fun and independent of the result, even if Kuroden cheated, and this system is rigged, I think I had a lot of fun today.
What?
Wow.
What are you talking about?
Wow.
He cheated to make it in. I'm just joking.
Wow.
Itachi
Lotus
gave me the point.
Lotus wants a vote recount. He thinks I was like stuffing ballots. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. You lost fair and square. Corden, final thoughts?
No, that was probably I don't want to dismiss, but that was probably my favorite around the saloon yet. It came down to the wire there. Itachi has been like my Itachi from Naruto, pretty much. He's been my rival, I think, since I got into THL, even though he was on my pro team and stuff. But I always I love when he's around, and being able to get on something like this with him was great. Yeah, GG's, man.
All right. Dachi, I gave you a final word earlier. Anything else you want to say before we head out?
No, I had a blast. I hope we'll get to come back and defend the crown. It was super fun. So
You will. You get
everybody.
you get an automatic invite to next week to retain
weeks.
if you're gonna be back and retain it. Yeah.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Sorry, I
2 weeks.
forgot. We are on a bi-weekly schedule from here on out. So
that's
yes,
right.
2 weeks.
Good
Don't
memory.
worry.
My apologies. Thank you. All
Go
right.
sign up for the tournament.
Yes, thank you. I was about to say that. We are
All right.
next Monday. Desharmo just put it into the announcements. So if you have not looked yet, in the announcements, next Monday, our next Maniac Mondays tournament is going to be a standard Conquest Nazstone best of 5. So if you are into Nazdormu Speedstone, there will be a tournament next Monday that you can compete in. I don't know the time that it starts off the top of my head, but the rules are in the
Starts at
announcement
7:30.
post. 7:30. There you go.
Starts at 7:30. Stream starts at 7:15.
Yep. It is a best of 5. The other ones are usually best of 3s, but because it is Speedstone, so it goes quicker, this one is a best of 5. Unless we get a bunch of spree smears, then it's not even going to matter. If you are interested in buying some merchandise, we have a THL merch shop that is conveniently located under your Twitch stream. Got a nice little widget down there. Exactly. Or you can go to the shop tab on the teamhearthlegends.com homepage, and it's at the top right. You can go there, and it'll take you straight to the merch page. I got to update the HSA listing so people can buy the best team of Legacy right now as merchandise. Without anything else, we are going to bid our farewells, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks' time on May 30. Yes, there's 31 days in May. May 31st. Have a great couple of weeks. Tune in tomorrow and Wednesday for our other talk shows, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks. Wave goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
See ya.
Lotus. I was hoping you would say something because we can't see you, so thank you.